Well, what's up, guys? I'm Noah. This is
And I'm Ben.
and this is the Tumblin Muffins podcast. This is gonna be fun. This is our first episode, and today we're gonna start by introducing ourselves and what the podcast is kind of gonna be about. We're just gonna talk hockey, have some fun, speculate a bit on what teams are gonna win, what teams are gonna suck. It's gonna be fun. I'm a Bruins fan, through and through.
I'm a Wild fan. Kind of difficult the past couple of years, but I've been deep in the mud, but we're trying to get out of it. Cam Talbot, please save us.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of those signings. What have you been up to the past couple days, Ben?
Research. I've actually done some.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I've also. Let's see. Oh, I actually started to customize some Google accounts.
Sounds like an eventful couple of days. Anyway, I've kind of been recording for my YouTube channel, The Hockey Shaman, which you can check out wherever you want. It's pretty fun putting out NHL 21 content, and the video version of the meet that we're doing this on will also be on the account. And then if you're listening to this podcast on any other platform, then make sure to go check it out and see our expressions during this, or just come and chill with me as I play some NHL. So, self-promotion aside, we have some free agents to talk about, as free agency started last week, and we've been doing a lot of research, and we have Eastern Conference free agency episode today, Western next Thursday, and then the draft episode the Thursday after that. So we got some big plans, posting every Thursday. So let's just get into it. With the first trade, and it's a big one. So Montreal gets Josh Anderson, and Columbus gets Max Domi and a 4th-round pick, who turned out it was the 95th overall pick, Michael Benning. So I don't think we even needed to research betting on this one. That was not needed. No.
Blue Jackets won.
Yeah, the Blue Jackets won this trade. It's not even a competition.
He is so much better than his father. So much better.
Well, yeah, but also he's better than Josh Anderson, and he's younger and lower risk, because Domi has virtually no injury history at all, and Anderson literally just this season he played 26 games because he got a concussion and a shoulder injury, and then
he missed most of the season, even with the lockdown.
Yeah, he missed so much, and in those 26 games, he scored 4 points. I just don't understand why. It wasn't a good trade for Montreal. And we'll get into some of the signings later, because both of these players were signed by the teams they were traded to. So, no. Okay.
So the next trade is the one involving Matt Murray. And for those of you who don't know him, yeah, he's the Penguins goalie. He was. Well, yeah. Traded for John Gruden and a 2nd-round pick who turned out to be Joe Blomqvist. I'm not entirely sure who really won this one, but I do think the Senators are going to they will benefit from this in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how well, but they are going to benefit at some point.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Senators will benefit this season from this trade, because Matt Murray is a much better goalie than Craig Anderson. Yeah, Pittsburgh, their depth chart on capfriendly.com has John Gruden is a prospect for them. He is not currently loaned to anyone, so he will probably come up to the minors if he doesn't keep playing for whatever team he was playing for, like the OHL or college. But if he does come up, he would be competing against Sam Lafferty, Anthony Angelo, and Juuso Ricola, but I don't think Ricola would be much of a challenge to pass on the roster. I think it'd be Lafferty and Angelo, who we will talk about later. So, but the thing is, people think that Pittsburgh lost this trade by a long shot, but the prospects, Gruden and Blomqvist, are both they're both pretty highly touted prospects. Blomqvist was like the second or third highest rated goalie in the whole draft, and they had a predicted all-star goalie in the draft. So him being highly rated means that they got a fairly decent goalie.
Yeah.
And then they already have Tristan Jarry, who we'll also talk about later. Pittsburgh just has a lot of goalie depth now. Even though they traded Matt Murray, they have Casey DeSmith as a backup. Like, that's going to work. And then Jonathan Gruden, in 59 games in the OHL, so with the London Knights is who he's playing for, he had 66 points. So if he can make the right transition to the AHL or the NHL, I think he'll be able to pull off some good stuff for the Penguins. So I think they won the trade.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next trade is the Rangers trading Lias Andersson to the Kings and receiving a second-round pick, which is pick number 60 in this draft, and it was William Coyle. Now, we'll be discussing how the Rangers did with this trade and if it was a good idea to trade Lias Andersson in this episode. Next week, we'll talk about the Kings side of the trade. But honestly, I think it was a needed trade for New York because Lias Andersson was not performing with them, but once he got loaned to the SHL and was able to play there, he performed. So he got 15 games. He had 12 points in 2019-20, and in 4 games this season so far, he has 4 points. So I think he needed a change of scenery, and I don't think he was going to get it done with the Rangers. So trading him for a second-round pick of all things, because even though he's a young prospect who has talent, the Kings could have got him for a third or fourth round pick because of how he'd been performing over the past couple of years. I mean, in 17 games for the Rangers, he had 1 assist. So getting William Coyle, drafting him, he's a left wing. He has 42 points in 62 games for the Windsor Spitfires of the OHL. That's a solid player to get for some prospect who didn't work out for you. So I see this as a good trade for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I know this is kind of off topic because we will talk about the Kings side more, but I think that that is a good pickup for the Kings. That's someone that they need. He might not have performed well in New York, but when he went down to the SHL, he really performed, and the Kings need someone who can flip-flop because no one's been doing any flipping or flopping. Okay, the next trade is Okay. It's the Cliff Poo and Marcus Nudavara trade. I don't really think I need to say much.
No.
The Panthers won.
Except for what teams got what player.
Oh, yeah. Blue Jackets got Cliff Poo. Panthers got Marcus Nudavara. Panthers won. Marcus Nudavara is a really good player. That's someone.
Don't oversell him. He's not a really good player, but he's a solid enough defenseman that he will make their team in a needed spot for them, which was the lower end defense. So yeah, he'll be on the third pair, and honestly, that's perfectly fine. They don't have any really talent. I mean, no, they needed him, and they didn't need Cliff Poo. Yeah. So, Panthers win. The next trade is... this is going to be a double trade kind of review thing. So, the Ducks got a 2021 fifth-round pick for Eric Goodbranson, and the Senators got Goodbranson. And On the same day, the Blue Jackets got a 2021 fifth-round pick, and they traded Ryan Murray to the Devils. Now, this basically shows that Eric Goodbranson has the same value as Ryan Murray, which is totally false. Goodbranson last season had 30 giveaways and no takeaways as a defenseman, which kind of proves the point of he's not good and he's not even worth a fifth-round pick, maybe 6th or 7th. But then Ryan Murray is actually a top 4 defenseman. He was a second overall pick in 2012. He has a lot of promise to just be someone who can carry a defensive pairing for you and just be solid on the back end. So how is he worth a 5th-round pick?
I have zero clue. He's god-awful. Whatever the Senators do with him,
Goodbranson, yeah.
Whatever they do with Goodbranson, I hope they put him down in their AHL team.
Well, the problem is, I'm looking now, and he actually makes their second pairing. Because, yeah, their defense is Chabot and Zaitsev, which isn't bad, Mike Riley and Eric Goodbranson, and then Christian Wallinen and Josh Brown, who we'll talk about later. And my problem with this, okay, they might be able to get Eric Brandstrom, bring him up, bring Jake Sanderson up, their draft the 5th overall pick this year. Knock some of those guys who don't need to be up there down to the AHL. Branson. But yeah, they're really not that deep on defense. So
yeah.
Okay.
The next one, as you mentioned before,
we can just skip by the Ryan Murray one. We discussed that one. He's a top 4 defenseman. Traded for a 5th-round pick. Not worth it. Devils win for getting a top 4 defenseman that cheap.
Okay. Then, Senators get Austin Watson, who I think this is a good pickup for the Senators.
Yeah.
He's a hitter. He's the heavy hitter that I think the Senators need. And for a 4th-round pick, I think that's good.
Yeah, it's not a bad trade. It's not a bad trade at all. He'll be making their 3rd line, looking at the depth chart, their 4th line is just, gosh, it's bad. But they have a really young team. He's 28, so he might be able to kind of guide some of the kids. And right now it has him playing on a line with Tim Stützle, who is the 3rd overall pick by the Senators. So if he plays with him, he might do a bit better. So I think it's a solid pickup. And the Predators got a 4th-round pickup. It's an even trade, but the Senators win because they got the player out of it. And I honestly think getting a player is more valuable than a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
Okay. The next trade is the Maple Leafs. They get Joey Anderson. And the Devils get Andreas Johnsson. Now, this trade is super interesting because I feel like a lot of people instantly thought, oh, wow, Andreas Johnsson, he's better than Joey Anderson. I've never even heard of Joey Anderson. But then, if you do some research, you find out that Joey Anderson could very well be better than Andreas Johnsson. He's 22, Johnsson's 25. And just in the AHL, Anderson had 34 points in 44 games. Not bad. But in the NHL, in his rookie year, not even his full rookie year, he just came up for a short stint in the NHL. 18 games, he had 6 points. Not awful for a rookie on the Devils. So, Andreas Johnsson had, in 43 games, in the NHL, he had 21 points. So, almost exactly half a point per game. Not that good. It's for a prospect like Joey Anderson, trading away Andreas Johnsson. who the Devils could use to be a winger for Hughes or Heishier, but Anderson will now get a chance to play on a team with some really good players, and I think this trade is just kind of lopsided after that. Also,
Yeah.
the contract. There's no salary retained by Toronto on Janssen, who's on like a $3.4 million contract. And we can combine these last two trades into one because they're by the same team, and it's Islanders Avalanche. We can just talk. We'll just be talking about the Islanders this week. Next week we'll talk about the Avalanche side. But the first of the two is Islanders getting AJ Greer and trading away Kyle Burrows. I have no problem with this trade. I think
I don't see any issue there.
the Islanders got a player who scored. He scored 32 points in 47 games in the AHL, and he had 87 penalty minutes. So he's definitely a really grindy player who can actually put up points. So kind of reminds me of Marchand and Domi, people like that who they aggravate people. And then they traded away Kyle Burrows, who a defenseman, 10 points in 52 AHL games, 69 PIMs, nice. He's also 25 and Greer is 23, so they got a younger prospect who has more potential. So I think the Islanders did a good job with this trade. I think it's a solid trade for them.
It's kind of the opposite with this next one, though, because the Islanders get a 2021 second-round pick and a 2022 second-round pick for Devin Taves.
Yeah.
The Avalanche get Devin Taves, who is a
We're not gonna.
player.
He's not an amazing player, but he's better than Ryan Murray. As you can tell, he got 2 second-round picks for him. But Devin Taves, he and Ryan Pelech were the two people on the or maybe Ryan Pulak. I don't know. They're kind of similar, but he basically was one of the key pieces to the Islanders' defense core through their run in the playoffs. So having them lose Devin Taves and get 2 second-round picks back is just no. It's not good.
Yeah, that trade was not that worth it.
No, not for the Islanders at least.
Yeah.
Okay. It is now time to go over some signings. We're going to start with the Bruins because we're going in alphabetical order. I'm taking half of the Eastern Conference teams, going alternating by alphabetical order, starting with the Bruins. We each will be able to talk about our own teams. So I'm just going to get right into the Bruins. And their first signing was Kevin Miller it was $1.25 million for 1 year. Now, the thing that has a lot of people worried about him is he didn't play last season due to injuries to his knee and his back. It was a rough year for him, and he even only played 39 games in 2018-19 because of injury. And in those games, he had 7 assists. He didn't do too well. But as of right now, he is a scratch for the Bruins on the depth chart, but that's only if Grzelcyk gets signed. Even if Grzelcyk gets signed, he will most likely play some games and be a part of the roster. So I think because we lost Krug, this is a signing that isn't awful, but I'm more hoping that the Bruins can sign Grzelcyk and then sign another person down the road. But the other signing they made is Craig Smith. He got $3.1 million for 3 years, and I love this signing. Smith has played he's played 9 seasons with the Preds, and that's it. And in 5 out of those 7 years, he scored 20 goals. And this season he had 18, and if it didn't get cut short, he would have scored 20 goals. So we're getting a very consistent player who will probably slot in on a third line with Coyle and Bjork, and he's very good defensively, Smith. So that line will go together very well. I think it'll click. Okay, so it looks like Ben got disconnected, but I'm gonna keep that part in because I'm not redoing it. Okay, so let's just let him get back and then we'll continue.
All right. So, my first team is the Buffalo Sabres. First, I've got Zemgus Girgensons. He has a $2.2 million deal for 3 years. I think that's an okay deal. And then Thomas Reiter, Matt Irwin, and Brandon Davidson all have a $700,000 deal.
League minimum.
Year. Yep. And Cody Eakin signed $2.25 million for 2 years. I think he didn't, towards the end of his area in Vegas, he didn't do too well, but I think the change of scenery really could help, and he's a decent player. So yeah, and someone who I think might be getting overpaid, Brendan Montour, $3.85 million for a year.
No, I disagree that he's being overpaid. Now, I didn't do any research on him. That was your job to do research on him, but I can go to his page right now. It's a big down payment from what he was being paid, which was no, this is a big contract for him. But I think that he's been a very big offensive defenseman, and I think he has high upside for future years. And sometimes he'll be on the ice with Hall and Eichel. I'm just gonna put that out there. So I think the Sabres are gonna be a better team this year, and with them, I think Brandon Montour is going to grow and be a better player.
Okay. Speaking of Taylor Hall, $8 million for 1 year.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I've got to say.
Well, I mean, he'll be playing on a line with Eichel and Reinhart, and a power play probably. He'll be on a power play. It'll be Hall, Eichel, Reinhart, Skinner, and Rasmus Dahlin, which is scary to think about.
Any fantasy line ever.
That's a dream of a fantasy team. Holy. And then, like, your second power play has it's Eric Stahl, Victor Olofsson, probably Cody Eakin, Casey Middlestat maybe, and Rasmus Ristolainen. Still not a bad power play.
Kind of stacked this year.
Yeah, the Sabres have a lot of good players on their team, but they're not going to do well. Shut up. That's my prediction, but they're going to do better. I think the Taylor Hall signing was brilliant. And the main reason he signed is because he liked the coach. He and the coach have played, he's been coached by that coach before, and they had a good relationship, and also now he'll be playing with Eichel, which I think he actually likes. So the Carolina Hurricanes, Jesper Fast, he'll be making $2 million a year for 3 years. It's a solid signing. He doesn't really, there's not much space for him to move up in the lineup unless Nino Niederreiter doesn't do well and he gets to replace him. But he'll still be playing with Warren Foegele and Jordan Stahl. So I think he could do solid there. Last year for New York, he had 29 points in 69 games. So he's like a third or fourth line, maybe second line forward who can put solid numbers up and have ice time. He played 16 minutes and 36 time on ice per game. So I think it's a good signing. But the next signing, Joakim Ryan, is an awful signing. He's 27 years old, but he's never put up good numbers. He had 28 giveaways and 6 takeaways in 35 games. But he's a defenseman. And the Hurricanes defense, this is their defense depth chart. Slavin, Hamilton, Brady Skjei, Brett Pesce, Jake Gardiner, Hayden Fleury, Jake Bean, Joey Keane, Gustav Forsling, like they have so many defensemen, and Joakim Ryan is not a talent. He's not a good defenseman. I mean, if you play in the NHL, you're probably talented, but he's not. Or he's not as good of a defenseman as all of those other big names and prospects are. So I don't understand the signing. Not that big of a signing. Next up is Vasily Ponomarev. Got the name. Okay. He was the 53rd overall pick in the second round for the Canes, and he got signed to a entry-level contract, which is $818,000 for 3 years. So your average contract, but I think he can do well because in 57 games last year in the QMJHL, he had 18 goals and 31 assists, and then in the World Juniors for Russia, he had 4 goals and 4 goals and 8 assists in 12 games, so point per game. I think he can do really well for the Canes, so he might have a chance of going into the lineup, but more likely he'll either stay in the QMJHL or go to the AHL to develop a bit because he's only 18. So that's a great signing and pick for the Canes. I think he can definitely develop a lot. And then Clark Bishop, minor league signing. Next up is
the Blue Jackets.
Oh.
First off, signing Max Domi $5.3 million for 2 years.
They ripped off the Hurricanes so bad. Because they ripped off the Canadians. Yeah. Because the Canadians could have signed Domi. No. Yeah, let's get Anderson. Yeah. Not much else to say there. We already kind of talked about Domi.
And then they bought out Alex Wenberg. And they could have kept him. He's an okay player. I think they should have kept him.
Middle six player at best, because he still has time to develop. So it wasn't very smart to buy him out, and he wasn't at a very high contract either. And if they were trying to make a big move, there's not many big moves left to make. There's Hoffman, Dadonov. Yeah, like I said, not many big moves. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any more. There might be a couple other big free or some like medium free agents out there, but other than that, it's just depth. So they might have just bought him out for nothing, and they could have bought out Brandon Dubinsky's contract, which he's been injured for over a year, and it has a cap hit of almost $6 million. So I think buying him out would have been the smarter move, but that's just me. Next
for the Blue Jackets is Gavin Bayreuther, minor league contract.
Yeah.
And then, saddens me to say this, sad to see him go, longtime captain of my favorite team, the Minnesota Wild, Mikko Koivu, signed $1.5 million for 1 year.
Show off the jersey a bit. Come on, it's your Koivu jersey. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, that sucks.
He'll bring leadership that I think really will help.
Yeah.
And
he's listed to be on the
really good scorer. He can score.
He's listed to be on the fourth line, but he can definitely move up to or be on a power play.
I think he will move up at some point.
Yeah. They do have a top nine. It's Liam Foudy, Dubois, Bjorkstrand, Foligno, Domi, Atkinson, Nyquist, Jenner, and Riley Nash, which is a really tight top nine. Like, the Blue Jackets are deep this year. So it'll be tough for him to move up, but honestly, a fourth line role, if he gets good minutes, like if Tortorella gives him good minutes, I mean, I think it's a good signing anyway, because Liam Foudy's 19. He can get some leadership from Koivu, so good signing.
Yeah. And good luck with your next one there, buddy.
Yeah, Detroit. They went off. So, first thing they did, they bought out Justin Abdelkader. He had a $4.25 million contract per year signed in 2016. and he's been really bad over the past couple years. So they bought him out. Good buyout. It lasts over 6 years, but that doesn't really matter for the Red Wings. They don't have any huge contracts yet. They signed Adam Ernie. He's an okay signing. I mean, it's a $997,000 for 1 year. So just an average fourth liner probably signing. I'll check the depth chart, but I'm pretty sure fourth liner. Yeah, fourth liner. Then they signed Bobby Ryan. Definitely a solid signing. I think he had a lot of potential left in him, even though he's 33. I think he can definitely put up some points. And even in the last season, he had 8 points in 24 games. And he had been struggling with some of his own problems throughout the year. So that was a pretty solid season. And yeah, I like that signing. John Merrill is an average defenseman. He's not amazing, but I think for a third pairing, he might not even play because they have some better defensemen who are currently in the minors or loaned to other countries for now. So if they come back, then he'll probably not make the team. And then Kevin Boyle, Riley Barber, Kyle Criscuolo, minor league signings. They don't really matter. Then they signed Thomas Greiss, who has been playing very well for the Islanders over the past couple of years, and it's a much better option than signing Jimmy Howard because he was awful the past season. So, yeah, and Greiss did well this year. He had a .913 save percentage, 2.74 goals against. He's 34 years old, so I think it's a better option than Howard, but they will have to play Bernier more because Greiss is definitely a more 1B type goalie, so they're going to have to try to fit that into that contract. Next is Troy Stetcher, and it's another defenseman, but I think he'll actually stay in the lineup. Second pair right now, but he could move up to the first pair. He's 26, solid defensive stats. He hasn't been lights out, but he also hasn't been bad. So it's $1.7 million for 2 years, per year. So not bad. The Greiss contract is $3.6 million for 2 years. And then they made one more signing, and that's Vladislav Nemestikov it's $2 million per year for 2 years. That's a great signing because Nemestikov has been very good for Colorado and Ottawa, and I just think it's a good signing. Once he got out of Tampa Bay, he's been solid. So I think that was smart picking him up, and he'll be playing on a line probably either with Phil Pula and Robbie Fabry or one of their prospects that comes up from the minors, like Lucas Raymond and on his wing or something like that. But it's a good signing.
All right. Next is the Florida Panthers. First starting off, Radko Gudas. I like this sign.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
There's not much to talk about. He's a very physical player, so I think he'll add a bit of grit to the Florida team. It's kind of soft, just like Patrick Hornqvist, who they traded for earlier. He'll probably be playing third line minutes with Marcus Nudivara, but if Anton Strawman doesn't perform as needed, then he'll probably switch out with him and play with Keith Yandle, Yandel's a good defenseman, so it's a good signing, and it's for how much money?
It is $2.5 million for 3 years.
Yeah, it's a solid signing. He's 30 years old, so definitely has potential to do something good.
And then there's Carter Verhage, or as I call him, Carter Verhage.
Yeah.
$1 million for 2 years.
That's a very good contract.
Yeah, I like that one. I think that he's going to do well in Florida. I wish him the best. And Alexander Wenberg.
We talked about him earlier.
$2.5 million for 1 year.
Yeah, which is better than his deal in Columbus, which was over $4 million for a couple years. But he'll be probably playing third line center. But what I really like about this is he'll be playing third line center, but his wings would be Anton Lundell and Owen Tippett. Those are like
pretty mint line there.
The two best offensive prospects for the Panthers. Lundell drafted, I think, 10th overall this year. No, I think it was 10th. 10th overall this year by the Panthers, and Tippett has been in there. I don't know if he made the roster last year, but he's definitely making it this year with the lineup they have. So, I mean, Wenberg definitely has a good chance to perform with these two elite young players on his wings. So, yeah, I think Wenberg's a good signing.
Moving on to Ryan Lomberg, $0.725 million for 2 years.
Either minors or he'll be someone who gets rotated in and out of the lineup when people get injured. He's currently a scratch,
yeah.
so.
And now Vinny Hinostroza. $1 million for a year. Stroza. Sorry. It looks Italian, so I keep trying to do Italian.
Vinny Hinostroza. Oh, wow. Okay. Sheesh. Yeah. So, what do you got at Hinostroza?
$1 million for 1 year. I think that's a decent signing for Florida.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really else to say.
He's too much wrong with that one.
Yeah, he's he's a right winger, so he'll probably be on the fourth line with Carter Verhaeghe and Henry Bowlby, or anyone who gets rotated up in the lineup, like previously mentioned Ryan Lomberg. So, not a bad signing. Hinostroza has performed in the past, so yeah. Next up is the Canadiens, Le Montreal. Okay. So the Canadiens' first move was to sign Noah Juulsen, who is one of their defensive prospects. He's probably their second best prospect defensively behind Alexander Romanov, who is by far the best prospect there is. So it was a minor league contract for Juulsen, so I'm not sure if he'll be coming up to the NHL this year, but I like it. But the next thing, Josh Anderson. Now, if you remember, it was an Anderson-Domi trade, and Domi signed for $5.3 million for 2 years. Anderson, injury-plagued Anderson. Anderson, who did not do well in the past or last season, and he did okay the season before. $5.5 million for 7 years.
Insert the Price is Right noise. Dun 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 dun. Wow.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Ben.
No, just no.
Okay. Next, we have Victor Mete. He's 22 years old, just scored his first goal this year. Defenseman, third pairing right now, and probably when Alexander Romanov comes into the NHL, he'll be playing with Victor Mete on the third pairing, hopefully, because I think Mete would do amazing for that. It's a minor league contract too, or it's a cheap contract, not league minimum, but it's cheap. So it's for 1 year. So next year he'll probably get a raise if Romanov comes up because they'll probably go off. But I like it. I think it's a good signing. So double thumbs up from me. Brandon Baddock and Xavier Wallet are both signings for the AHL that are not needed to be discussed. But this next one does need to be discussed, and that is Mr. Tyler Toffoli signing with the Canadiens on a contract that probably this is what Anderson should have been signed to, which is around a $4.25 million contract for 4 years. Much more reasonable. And Toffoli has done pretty well over the past while he's been playing. He's been pretty consistent, and right now he's listed to be playing with Kotkaniemi and Arturi Lehkonen on the third line. But he could move up if Anderson is underperforming, which I think will happen. And if he does move up, it'll be him playing with Jonathan Drouin and Nick Suzuki, which is a great position for him. So I like that sign a lot.
He'll bring a lot of leadership to the team.
Yeah, he's Stanley Cup champion. Okay. Next up, the goalie carousel of the Devils.
Here we go. Corey Schneider being bought out. I think that was kind of a good idea. He's been going downhill for the Devils.
He had a $6.8 million contract.
Yeah. So they decided to sign Corey Crawford. $3.9 million for 2 years. I think it's a better pickup than Schneider. It's like, which Corey is better? That one.
Yep.
So they decided to pick up another Corey.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Corey Crawford signing is really good, but I know in Chicago, they're a lot of the core players like Taze and Kane are like angry that their GM decided to let him leave. I don't think Chicago's GM is going to be there for much longer.
I've got to agree with you there. The Devils also signed Scott Wedgwood, minor league contract.
Another goalie.
Yep.
Okay, next up, the Islanders, which before today, the day of recording, they had not made a move yet. So they finally made a move, and they signed 2 minor league contracts. One of them, Austin Czarnik, might be coming up to the NHL. They're both $725,000 for 2 years. Czarnik has a chance of coming to the NHL. He played a bit in Calgary last year, but I don't think he'll make the NHL. I do not. And Grant Hutton will not make the NHL. He is buried in the minors right now. So, yeah, that's the Islanders. They've been kind of boring. But next up, literally the exact opposite of boring, the Rangers, who have been actually kind of dumb. Ben, could you elaborate?
My Swedish brother, King Henrik, has been bought out from his contract. I bid thee farewell.
Ben, you're going to need that later. You're going to need that later.
Oh, yeah, I will. Got it.
Okay.
But then they decided to sign Kevin Rooney. Minor league contract, possibly going to be brought up.
Let me just check. I think he might have a chance of making the team. He's a scratch right now, so meh.
Colin Blackwell.
He's a scratch right now, so he might make it.
He might make it.
Might.
Keith Kincaid, who I think
minor league.
It makes sense.
Yeah. The thing is, they needed him in the minor league because Igor Shesterkin just got brought up, and he from the minors, and he is an absolute beast. So, yeah, I think they just needed a goalie in there. Let me just say, Shesterkin was drafted 118th in 2014. Pretty good.
I don't think that was right.
He shouldn't have dropped that far.
Yeah. Chad Johnson also got signed $1.5 million for a single year.
He's worse than Eric Goodbranson.
Yeah.
Jack Johnson is basically the epiphany of how not to be a defenseman, but also how to steal money from other teams, because he somehow manages to continuously get signed, even though his play does not grant him the right to play in the NHL. And I think that he's still going to have this happen, and he's still going to be in the NHL, because the Rangers don't have enough defensemen. They don't have enough defensemen, so...
That's probably why they've signed these next three: Anthony Bitetto, Johnny Brodzinski, Brandon Crawley.
Yeah, so Bitetto is actually a scratch right now, so he might replace Johnson, but other than that, the others are in the minors. But I just remember the Rangers could bring up Keandre Miller, who they drafted in 2018, so just something to think about. But let's get to the final signing of the Rangers.
Speaking of signing Alexis Lafreniere, first overall pick, $0.925 million for 3 years.
That's
first overall. Yeah. I think this is probably one of the smartest things they could have done.
Well, I mean, it was also like if they didn't do it, there was no choice. There was no reason to pick him. He is literally signed to the maximum entry level deal, and like all the maxes on of all their price raises and stuff. Like, I think he's actually making a lot of money in his first season. Yeah, his contract is 3 years at $925,000, but because of all the bonuses and stuff, his first ever contract in the NHL, when he signed when he was 19, is worth $11.325 million.
Hoo-wee.
That's crazy, and the thing is, I think he's going to live up to that contract, which is crazy.
He will. I hope he does.
Yeah, man, imagine being 19 and making more than elite players today. Like,
imagine making more than Jaromir Jagr did.
Yeah, he played on the Bruins.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets that Jagr played on the Bruins.
Everyone forgets that Jagr doesn't play in the league anymore.
No. But he might come back when he's 52 just to break what he had. Never mind. We're going off on a tangent. It's time to talk about the next team, the Ottawa Senators. They signed a couple contracts. They first went off and got Josh Brown, who I did say was on the list for talking about earlier. $1.2 million over 2 years, so he'll be getting, that's the average annual value. He's currently listed as a third pairing defenseman, but when Eric Goodbranson does underperform the Senators' expectations, Josh Brown is going to move up. Also, Eric Goodbranson is at a $4 million contract. That is... What? How did we miss this?
That should explain that.
So, that was the Ducks. And then Pittsburgh got... Like, they traded Eric Goodbranson to Pittsburgh, who got traded to... Oh, wait, no. Pittsburgh traded Goodbranson to the Ducks to the Senators. Okay. Anyway, I just think Josh Brown's going to pass Goodbranson. Next signing, Matt Murray, $6.25 million every year for 4 years. Good signing. They needed a goalie. Now, I don't think he's as good of a goalie as everyone gives him credit for. As last season, he had a 899 save percentage and a 2.86 goals against. So, not perfect, but better than Craig Anderson. And then 2 minor league signings. You got Matthew Pekka and Logan Shaw, and neither of them are even in the scratches. So they're literally minor league players. So, Philly now.
In West Philadelphia. Alright. Derek Pouliot, minor league contract. The minimum that they could give him.
Yeah.
$17,000.
I don't think he's gonna make it, even make the roster. Yeah.
I hope this guy does because he has the coolest name ever. Zayd Wisdom.
Yeah, I don't think he will though.
Ugh.
I don't.
$825 million for 3 years.
Yeah. It was a minor league, or it's a entry level deal. He was the
95th overall.
95th overall pick. Okay, so wait.
And then Eric Gustafson.
Yeah.
A big signing.
No.
For Philly. He got I believe 29 or 26 points last season.
Yes, last season. I want to go. So he got 29 points in 65 games or 66 games last season. But Ben, the previous season, he got 60 points in 79 games. So he dropped. And unless he gets on a good pair with people or with players who can play well, he's not going to do well. And right now, he's on a pair with Justin Braun, who is a grindy defenseman. So I don't see Gustafson being too offensively good, but he's a signing. He's a good defenseman, so not awful.
And now on the other side of Pennsylvania,
Pittsburgh. Okay. Pittsburgh signed Tristan Jarry to a $3.5 million average annual value for 3 years, and they got a better goalie in Jarry for almost $3 whole million less than Ottawa signed Matt Murray for, the one they traded. So essentially, they signed the better goalie and then traded their other one to the Senators for 2 promising prospects. So I think that was a really good move by Jim Rutherford, even though he is kind of crazy. It's a good signing. Jarry, .921 save percentage in 5 games less than Murray. So that's not enough to change the save percentage. 2.43 goals against. Pretty good. And then they signed 6 minor league contracts. Sam Lafferty, Evan Rodriguez, Mark Jankowski, Josh Curry, Maxime Lagacé, Frederick Gaudreau, and Anthony Angelo. Now, some of these are relevant. If I look at the depth charts, which are becoming incredibly useful, Mark Jankowski and Evan Rodriguez both make the third line of the Penguins with Jared McCann. And Sam Lafferty and Anthony Angelo are both on the healthy scratch list, and they will most likely be able to take over or go on to the major leagues because, as I said, the bottom 6 is Jared McCann, Mark Jankowski, Evan Rodriguez, Brandon Tanev, Teddy Bluger, and Colton Sevier. All 6 of those players have a chance of being swapped out by both of these because they're both fairly good players. So I think that'll work. And then the other, Frederick Gaudreau, actually has a lot of upside. So I think that's another good signing. And then the Josh Curry and Maxime Lagacé are just minor league. Ben, it's...
Yeah.
Oh, talk about Tampa. Oh, wait, they're doing bad.
Yep. Stanley Cup champions did awful. Tyler Johnson sent to waivers and he cleared them.
I need to explain what that means. So, because you don't know what that means, do you?
No.
Okay, so waivers is basically when a team wants to move a player from the NHL to the AHL, but if they have played more than 66 games in the NHL, then they have to clear waivers to get to the AHL. And in waivers, any team can pick them up. So Tampa, no teams were willing to accept the trade because they could only try to trade with 8 teams because of a no trade clause. So, or a limited no trade clause. So Tampa was trying to get other teams to take Tyler Johnson from waivers by putting him on the waivers. So it didn't work, and he cleared them. So now Tyler Johnson is in the AHL somehow. It doesn't make much sense, And I don't know what Tampa was doing there, but I mean, okay. Yeah, he's not shown in the lineup.
They also signed Luke Shen.
Yeah, Luke Shen and Pat Maroon, right?
Yep, 800,000 for 1 year for Luke Shen.
Nope.
Pat Maroon.
Other way around.
No, on my sheet it's 800,000
for Luke Shen.
For 1 year for Shen. Yeah.
You said 9.
That's
okay.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Well, snarky.
Yeah, you're right though. I mean, Pat Maroon was someone who was on the fourth line for them, but still played well and was like a good depth part of their team, good locker room guy. I don't know. And then Luke Shen, they need him because they lost Kevin Shattenkirk, and they still need to sign Mikhail Sergachev and Eric Chernak.
I have a question for you. You said Pat Maroon is a good dressing room guy. Is that something you really want to hear?
I mean, if it's at 900,000, then.
Do you remember playing with him? Yeah, he was a good dressing room guy.
Well, no, like a good guy in the locker room. He's very gritty, so he's very physical. They brought him in to be physical, and he has been. He's been what they needed him to be, but I know I think I listened to an episode of Spittin' Chicklets, and he is very funny. So.
They also ended up signing Christopher Gibson, Andreas Borgman, Ben Thomas to minor league contract.
Yeah, the only one of them who probably will make the NHL is Andreas Borgman because he's a defenseman. So either one of Sergachev and Chernak is not getting signed, because they also have to sign Cirelli. Like, I have no clue how Tampa is going to get out of this cap trouble. And when we make our prediction videos, or when we make our prediction podcast, that's going to be fun.
Yes, it will.
Okay, is that it for Tampa?
Yes, it is.
All right. Last team for me is the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that I despise and also respect as a Bruins fan. Wait, are we both wearing jerseys for captains?
Mine doesn't have the C.
Yeah, I got
an extra $100, dude.
Oh man, I got the Winter Classic Bruins jersey from last. I'm not gonna. Okay, we gotta keep it going.
Like $400.
Actually, it was $250. Okay, never mind. So for Toronto, they signed Jason Spezza to a league minimum dollar contract, and it's a great signing. I mean, he's like, wow, veteran presence. I mean, he's still performing. He had 25 points in 58 games last year for someone playing on like the third or fourth line. I think it's the fourth line. And yes, it is. Fourth line. Someone playing on the fourth line getting 25 points. I mean, that's really good. And yeah, he's helping rookies like actually get into the NHL. So not a bad signing. Yeah. Wayne Simmons is also a great signing. He's very, very physical. He has like a lot of oomph in his gameplay. So
also another leadership figure.
Yeah, so that's another great signing. But these great signings are overshadowed by this not good signing. Now, TJ Brody he's a solid top 4 defenseman. But he's really not that. He's a top 4 defenseman, but he had 52 giveaways and 34 takeaways. He plays about 20 minutes a game, which you kind of want more out of your top 4, and he's actually on the top line, so you would want like 25 minutes, and I'm not sure he can do that. Um, he played 64 games last season, had 19 points, so not awful there. But I think he's more of a defenseman to put up points. He only had 20 hits as a defenseman, so like honestly, he is not that good, and he's being paid $5 million for 4 years, and that is putting Toronto in a funny position because they have a couple people left to sign. They're not as bad as Tampa in that fashion, and I think they're going to be better than Tampa next year. Yeah, they're top 9: Hyman, Matthews, Nylander, VC, Tavares, Marner, Mikheyev, Kerfoot, Simmons. Anyway, Brody is not a good signing, and then this guy Travis Boyd. I think this is a great signing. He's a center. He had 10 points in 24 NHL games last year. He's 27. He's pretty good. I mean, it's a great signing because he's a very solid player who can sub in for people who are injured. He probably won't play a lot this year because the centers are Matthews, Tavares, Kerfoot, and Spezza. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I think it's a good signing. It's a good depth signing to make sure that they don't run out of people. Zach Bogosian is an okay signing. It's a $1 million for 1 year, and he's not that good of a defenseman, and he's not that good offensively. I don't know. He had 11 giveaways and 4 takeaways, so that's something that should probably be a marker. But he did play very well for Tampa in the playoffs last year, so I don't know. And then the final signing is Jimmy Vesey. He signed $900,000 for a year, and I think this is a great signing. If you remember, he's on the second line with Tavares and Marner, so he probably will be able to play to what he wants to actually, like what people have been expecting him to play to, the level of play that people have been expecting from him ever since he came out of college in 2016. And yeah, Jimmy Vesey has not performed spectacularly, but this year, if he's playing with John Tavares and Mitch Marner, I think that he will perform well. All right, Ben, finish this off with Washington.
Welcome back to hockey, my Swedish brother, King Henrik. Glory to Sverige.
Okay, so tell us about that contract, Ben.
Henrik Lundqvist signed for $1.5 million for 1 year. And then, yeah, he's a good goalie. I think he'll fill in well for Holtby. We'll talk about him
next week.
Episode.
Yep.
They also signed Justin Schultz, who I think is an important signing.
Yeah. Someone on the defense who can help out, because other than John Carlson, name one Washington Capitals defenseman. Exactly. They have Brendan Dillon, Dmitry Orlov, Jonas Siegenthaler, and Nick Jensen. Orlov is the only other one I would have known. Other than that,
that's really it.
So getting Justin Schultz, he's a solid defenseman. Right D, so he'll be on the second pair with Orlov, which gives them more depth. And honestly, I think it was a good signing.
And then a minor league contract for Cameron Schilling. And then they also signed someone who always has a special place in my heart.
Your hockey
Trevor
heart.
Van Riemsdyk. He's like, hey, I'm a cool player, and I go, you know what? Yeah, you are. It's weird. I like the guy. Okay. I think he'll work well. And then there's Paul Ledoux. who it turns out doesn't have an afro.
Yeah, I was gonna compare your afros, and then because you had said he had an afro when we were talking earlier, and then
I was thinking of Paul Verone.
let me just look him up. Paul Verone. I don't know who Paul Verone is, but Paul Ledoux. No, that's not an afro. It's like slicked back red hair. So far off. I'm very glad you didn't say he had an afro. Paul Ledoux is not in the lineup, and neither is anyone else you mentioned. Brian Pinho is. Or he's scratched.
And then there's Daniel Carr. The last signing that the Capitals
minor. Yeah.
Minor league contract.
Yeah. Also, Trevor Van Riemsdyk.
Phil Verone.
Huh?
Phil Verone.
Oh, Phil Verone. Phil Verone. That's not an afro.
I know.
So, where were we going with the afros then? It all leads back to your afro, Ben.
I don't understand.
Oh, you know what? You know what? I know someone who has an afro. I know Matthew Joseph. Matthew Joseph. Oh wait, no, he's on the Lightning. So it's Mathieu Joseph. So it Matt.
Oh, I spelled it the American way.
Yeah, so did I. Also, he doesn't have an afro in the pictures, but I know in the playoffs when he were playing against the Bruins, I saw his afro when he took his helmet off on the bench, and it was big. It was floofy. But yeah, I know. I said I didn't know. It wasn't a. I just explained myself, Ben. No. Okay.
Daniel Carr.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Trevor Van Riemsdyk is scratched, so you might see your boy play.
Yay!
You're gonna watch the Cavs just to see him play?
Yeah,
and
Henrik.
We have fun here, guys. Give us a subscribe. We all have a lot of fun. We release episodes every Thursday, and
I'm the comedic relief.
Yeah, you provided some good stats too. So did I.
Yeah, I actually did research.
I'm joking. But yeah, this is it's gonna be a fun time. So guys, give us a subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and it would be great if you could give me a subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. I put a lot of time into my videos, and we put a lot of time into our podcast. We both researched, or at least I researched for over 3 hours. So
20 minutes.
Hey, but I mean, we have fun. We spent a lot of time filming. So, guys, that's gonna be it for today. I'm Noah.
I'm Ben, and this has been the Tumbling Muffin.
See ya.